Imagine checking into a hotel, expecting nothing but a peaceful night's rest. But as the night deepens, the atmosphere shifts. Cold drafts brush past you in a warm room, faint whispers echo in the distance, and shadowy figures stand at the foot of your bed. The hotels we're about to explore are more than just places for travelers, they are home to spirits that never checked out. Welcome to the top 10 most haunted hotels in the world, where the line between the living and the dead is frighteningly thin. These aren't just ghost stories, these are real-life encounters that have sent shivers down the spine of countless guests. Are you ready to find out which hotels harbored chilling secrets and paranormal activity? Number 1. The Stanley Hotel, Estes Park, Colorado, USA. The Stanley Hotel is infamous for its connection to Stephen King's The Shining, but its haunted history is all too real. Built in 1909 by freelance Oscar Stanley, this grand hotel has been home to many paranormal events. Guests have reported hearing piano music floating from the ballroom, even though no one is there, and some claim to have seen the ghost of Flora Stanley, Freeland's wife, playing the piano in the middle of the night. There have also been sightings of children giggling in the hallways, running just out of sight. Room 217, where Stephen King himself stayed, is particularly notorious. Legend has it that in 1911, a housekeeper named Elizabeth Wilson was injured in an explosion in this room. Though she survived, her spirit is said to still haunt the room, with guests reporting that their belongings are mysteriously moved or tidy when they're not looking. Some have even felt an unexplained presence hovering near the bed, as if someone is watching over them. Would you dare spend a night in room 217, knowing that Stephen King's nightmares came from this very spot? Number 2. The Langham Hotel, London, England. The Langham Hotel in London, one of the city's most luxurious establishments, is also its most haunted. Room 333, in particular, is the epicenter of eerie occurrences. Guests who stayed in this room often wake up to see the ghost of a Victorian doctor standing at the foot of their bed. The doctor's story is tragic. He allegedly murdered his wife while on honeymoon before taking his own life in that very room. Visitors report feeling icy cold gusts of wind, seeing objects move on their own, and witnessing the apparition of the doctor lurking in the shadows. But the doctor isn't the only spirit in the Langham. A German prince, who is said to have jumped from one of the hotel windows before World War I, has also been spotted wandering the corridors. Guests have described seeing a man in military uniform, drifting through the hallways in the dead of night, disappearing as suddenly as he appeared. Whether you're in your room or exploring the grand halls, the spirits of the Langham seem to be everywhere. What would you do if you woke up in the dead of night and saw a figure standing by your bed only to realize they aren't among the living? These ghostly visitors aren't just myths, they've been witnessed time and again. Could you handle an encounter with a restless spirit? Number 3. The Queen Mary, Long Beach, California, USA. The Queen Mary is no ordinary hotel. This retired ocean liner, now docked in Long Beach, California, is considered one of the most haunted places in the world, during its time as a luxury ship and later as a warship during the World War II. The Queen Mary saw numerous deaths, many of which are said to have left behind spirits that now haunt the vessel. Guests have reported hearing phantom footsteps echoing down the ship's long, empty corridors. The most chilling tales come from the pool area, where ghostly children are said to still play. The witnesses claim to see the wet footprints of children running by, even though the pool has been dry for decades. Then, there's the mysterious lady in white, a ghostly figure who wanders the decks in a flowing gown, eternally searching for something or someone she lost. Perhaps the most unnerving of all is the story of a sailor who was crushed to death in the ship's engine room during a wartime accident. His ghost is said to haunt the lower decks, with guests hearing the sound of metal grinding and distant screams late into the night. Number 4. The Fairmont B Springs Hotel, Banff, Alberta, Canada. Nestled in the Canadian Rockies, the Fairmont B Springs Hotel offers breathtaking views and terrifying hauntings. This grand hotel is said to be haunted by several spirits, but none more famous than the ghostly bride who perished on her wedding day. As legend has it, she was descending the hotel's grand staircase in her gown when she tripped, falling to her death. To this day, guests report seeing her ghostly figure wandering the halls in her wedding dress, her veil trailing behind her as she searches for her groom. There's also the friendly ghost of Sam, a former bellman who loved his job so much that he seems to have never left. Guests staying in rooms serviced by Sam claim they've had their luggage mysteriously transported, or have been greeted by a man in an old-fashioned bellman uniform who promptly vanishes after assisting them. Sam's playful hauntings are so well known that the hotel embraces his presence, but would you feel comfortable knowing a ghost is helping you with your luggage? Number 5. The Builtmore Hotel, Coral Gables, Florida, USA. Built during the Roaring '20s, the Builtmore Hotel has a glamorous past, but it's also stained with blood. In 1929, notorious gangster Thomas "Fatty" Walsh was gunned down on the hotel's 13th floor during a mob-related dispute. Ever since, guests staying on the upper floors have reported hearing the sound of phantom gunfire in the night, as well as seeing shadowy figures lurking in the hallways. Some even claim to have seen Fatty Walsh himself, standing in the elevator, glaring at them before disappearing. During World War II, the hotel was converted into a military hospital, and the spirits of soldiers who passed away there are also said to haunt the halls. Cold spots, disembodied voices, and the feeling of being watched are common reports from those who dare stay in the hotel's most haunted rooms. Number 6. The Russell Hotel, Sydney, Australia. The Russell Hotel, located in the heart of Sydney, has one room that no one wants to stay in, room 8. This room is believed to be haunted by the ghost of a sailor who was murdered during a robbery in the early 1900s. The guests who stay in room 8 have reported waking up to see a ghostly figure standing at the foot of their bed, staring down at them with dark, empty eyes. Some have even reported feeling the bed shake, as if someone unseen is sitting at the end of it. Elsewhere in the hotel, visitors hear unexplained knocks on their doors in the middle of the night, faint whispers and footsteps echoing in the hallways when no one else is around. Is it the restless sailor, seeking justice for his untimely death? What would you do if, while lying in bed, you felt someone sit at the foot of it, but there's no one there? What if you heard whispers calling your name in an empty room? These hauntings are more than just stories, they're the reasons why these hotels are never quite empty. Number 7. The Omni Parker House, Boston, Massachusetts, USA. The Omni Parker House is one of Boston's oldest hotels, and with its age comes a long history of ghostly encounters. Charles Dickens once stayed here during his American tour, and some guests claim to have seen his spirit walking through the halls, reading aloud from a Christmas carol. However, the most infamous spirit is that of Harvey Parker, the hotel's founder, who is said to keep a watchful eye over his establishment even in death. Visitors report seeing a well-dressed man in vintage clothing, who vanishes as soon as they try to approach him. Room 303 is another hotbed for paranormal activity, with reports of loud, unexplainable noises and guests waking up in a panic for no apparent reason. Would you be willing to sleep in the very room where countless guests have been awoken by spirits? Number 8. Hotel del Coronado, San Diego, California, USA. The Hotel del Coronado has its fair share of ghostly visitors, but the most famous is Kate Morgan, a young woman who checked into the hotel in 1892 and was found dead on the beach just days later. Her death was ruled a suicide, but the mystery surrounding it has given rise to numerous sightings of her ghost. Guests staying in room 3327, where Kate spent her last days, report flickering lights, objects moving on their own, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched. Some have even seen Kate herself, drifting through the hotel corridors in a flowing black dress. Number 9. The Crescent Hotel, Eureka Springs, Arkansas, USA. Room 218 is said to be haunted by a former stonemason who died during the hotel's construction. Guests staying in the room have reported hearing loud bangs, The sensation of being touched by unseen hands, and even seeing objects moving on their own. Others claim they've woken up to find the figure of a man standing at the foot of their bed, staring at them before vanishing into thin air. The hotel's basement, which was once Dr. Baker's morgue, is another area filled with paranormal activity. Some have heard disembodied voices, while others have seen shadowy figures lurking near the old autopsy tables. It seems that for the spirits of the Crescent Hotel, there is no rest even in death. Number 10. Dragshavn Castle, Horv, Denmark. Dragshavn Castle, located in Denmark, is one of Europe's oldest castles, and it has a dark history that spans centuries. The castle is said to be haunted by not one but three ghosts: the Grey Lady, the White Lady, and the ghost of a former prisoner who was kept in the castle's dungeons. The White Lady, in particular, has a tragic story. She was a young noblewoman who fell in love with a commoner. When her father found out, he imprisoned her in the castle, where she eventually died. Her skeleton was discovered bricked up in one of the castle walls, and ever since, guests have reported seeing her wandering the halls in her white gown, her face full of sorrow. The Grey Lady, on the other hand, is said to be the spirit of a former maid who died tragically in the castle. She is often seen floating through the corridors, leaving behind an air of sadness. The spirit of the prisoner, who was chained in the dungeons for years, is said to be a far more malevolent presence. Guests who visit the dungeon report hearing the rattling of chains and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, as if the prisoner is still seeking vengeance for his unjust imprisonment. From the luxurious Stanley Hotel in Colorado to the eerie Dragshavn Castle in Denmark, these haunted hotels are home to more than just guests. They're places where the spirits of the past still linger, and where the line between the living and the dead grows thin. Whether it's the tragic bride of Banff Springs or the ghostly children playing on the Queen Mary, these hotels hold stories that are as chilling as they are unforgettable. If you ever find yourself checking into one of these haunted hotels, remember you may not be staying alone. The next time you feel a cold breeze or hear an unexplained noise, you might just be sharing your room with a guest who never checked out. Like, subscribe, and comment below, would you dare stay in any of these haunted hotels? And if you do, don't forget to leave the light on. You never know who or what might be lurking in the shadows.